Hello, Mishpacha, it's Courtney, America's Jewish mother. Welcome back to my channel. It is Friday, and it's time for another Friday Reads video, but before I get into the Friday Reads portion of this video, let me just say it has been a week in the United States. So on Wednesday, we found out that Raphael Warnock and John Ossoff both won in the Georgia Senate runoff election that I came back to Georgia early so that I could vote for on Tuesday. And that was very exciting, but the excitement did not last long because, you know, pretty much right after that happened, people started storming the Capitol building in D.C. And I'm going to link Karen Evans' video about this that she posted on Thursday, I think, because it really, for me, encapsulated a lot of the things that I was feeling. So I'm going to link that down below in case you haven't seen that yet. But as far as my sort of hot take on this goes, you know, a lot of people are rightfully blaming Trump for inflaming his supporters. A lot of people are also rightfully blaming Republican politicians like Josh Hawley and like Ted Cruz, who, you know, specifically said ahead of the electoral vote count that they plan to hold up the proceedings and challenge the counts in several states, blah, 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 right? And I think, you know, obviously all of those people are to blame for this. But the thing that I really want to sort of contribute to this conversation and discussion about, you know, how could this happen and, you know, who's really responsible and all of that, is that, yes, Trump and Cruz and Hawley and similar figures are all responsible, but the thing that I actually thought of first when all of this started coming out was about Comet Pizza Parlor. And if you don't live in the United States, you might not know about this. And even if you do live in the United States, you might be like, wait, what? Because this happened, it feels like approximately 10 million years ago at this point. But in 2016, prior to the 2016 election, there was this conspiracy theory floating around the internet that was known as Pizzagate. And it was just this insane story about how Democrats and Hillary Clinton were running a human trafficking and child sex ring in the basement of a pizza parlor in DC called Comet Ping Pong Pizza or something like that. And it was crazy. And a man actually traveled to DC, to this Comet Pizza Parlor, armed with an AR-15 rifle, and, you know, was basically going to break in there and investigate, you know, whether this was going on for himself. And that was actually the first connection I personally made between the people who stormed the Capitol building was with Pizzagate, because it's not just Trump, it's not just Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and similar political figures. It is also the media and the internet conspiracy theories that are fueling this. It's and Fox News is honestly the least of it at this point, but it's QAnon, it's 4chan, it's 8chan, it's the special Donald Trump website that was formed after people got banned from Reddit. It's that new Facebook alternative for the alt-right people called, in French it's called Parler, but I don't know if they call it Parler or whatever. And it's Newsmax, it's One America News, etc., etc. It's all of these things that are fueling baseless conspiracy theories about electoral fraud that never took place. So I just want to add my own 2 cents here that as much as Trump is absolutely personally responsible, and as much as people like Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley and similar figures are responsible for adding fuel to this fire, I think we should also be holding accountable sites like Parlay and sites like The Donald and OAN and Newsmax, etc., etc. So that's my hot take as far as the events of Wednesday are concerned. And again, I'm going to link Karen Evans' video about this down below, which I really appreciated that she made that, because again, I felt like it really kind of encapsulated a lot of things that I was feeling and probably things that other people were feeling as well. So okay, on to the actual Friday Reads portion of this video, because that's what you came here for, presumably. So I only finished one book this week, which was Grace Paley's short story collection, The Little Disturbances of Man. This is the first book that I finished in 2021. I gave this collection 3.5 stars. I think it has 12 or 13 stories in it. I mean, it's not really important whether it has 12 or 13 stories, but whatever. So, it has 12 or 13 stories in it, and a lot of them deal with people who are unsuccessful in love in one way or another. And some of those stories in particular, I did not think aged well. This collection was published in, I believe, 1959, and some of the stories have to do with grown men dating, sleeping with, trying to marry teenage girls. As old as, say, 17 or 18, but in one story as young as 14. So that definitely didn't age well. Some of the other stories in here, I particularly liked the ones with kind of more explicitly Jewish content. Of course, that would appeal to me, right? And in fact, there's one story in here called The Loudest Voice, which is about a bunch of Jewish children at this school who are cast as the lead roles in a Christmas pageant of the Nativity story because the non-Jewish children just aren't loud enough. And then there's this whole sort of big to-do about it among the parents of these Jewish children. And I'm actually gonna find this so I can read it to you, because again, I thought it was kind of particularly cute. Okay, so this says, okay, so these Jewish parents are talking about how the non-Jews like really didn't have very big parts, and so this woman says, "They got very small parts, or no part at all. In very bad taste, it seemed to me. After all, it's their religion." "Ah," explained my mother, "what could Mr. Hilton do? They got very small voices after all. Why should they holler? The English language they know from the beginning by heart. They're blonde like angels. You think it's so important they should get in the play? Christmas, the whole piece of goods. They own it." Anyway, so I really got a big kick out of that story, The Loudest Voice. And there are some others in here that are, particularly good and memorable, including, I think it's the last one in the collection, where this woman is helped to get her first job by a homeless man who's living out of his car, and he basically kind of punches up her resume for her and helps her get, like I said, her first job, and that's also sort of weird and interesting. But yeah, I would recommend this collection if you like short story collections, but like most short story collections, it was, for me, a mixed bag, which is why I got 3.5 stars. And like I said, some of these stories have aged quite badly because of the grown man trying to get with a teenage girl angle. So, if you don't want to read about that, then don't pick it up. But otherwise, pretty good overall, 3.5 stars. Would read more Grace Paley. Okay, so on to what am I currently reading? So I am about 135 pages into Kwame Anthony Appiah's The Lies That Bind, Rethinking Identity. This is a nonfiction book about identity, as you would guess from the title of the book. So Appiah basically breaks identity down into various components, including, they all start with C: country, class, color, creed. There we go. So I've like I said, I'm about 135 pages into this. It's really good so far. It's very accessible writing. He does a good job of kind of bookending the chapters with a story of kind of an individual who he uses as an example for whatever he's talking about: country, creed, class, color, etc. And he also uses stories from his own personal life, because Appiah himself, it has kind of many different heritages at play in his own personal background, so that's interesting too. So I'm liking this so far. Probably going to try to finish this up this weekend. Oh, by the way, I want to mention that Doris at Aldi Books came up with this idea of the mid-month book bash, I think is what she's calling it. I'm going to link to her announcement of that down below. And the first sort of inaugural one of these is supposed to be this weekend, so it lasts from Friday until Monday. And you can either, you know, try to do a certain set amount of reading, like, you know, read for 12 or 24 hours or whatever over that, you know, 4-day period of time, or you can set a certain number of pages or, you know, whatever. So I think for me, I'm going to try to finish up this book and to get a good ways through the next book that I'm going to talk about over the mid-month book bash weekend. So again, I will link that announcement video down below if you're unfamiliar with it. I'm also currently reading Daniel Silva's The Secret Servant. This was just something I picked up because Wednesday everything was on fire and I was really sad and I just wanted something that was like sort of comforting. I mean, not that you know, stuff about worldwide terrorism is particularly comforting, but, you know, like just a story that's familiar and that I don't have to think too hard about and that's easy to read and is fast-paced, etc., etc. So I am 130 something pages through this already, and I literally just started reading it Wednesday night. So there you have it. So I'm going to also try to, I probably won't finish this up over the mid-month book bash 4-day period, but I will try as hard as I can to get through it because I've got some buddy reads and book club reads that I need to start prioritizing in the next few days. So I'm currently reading that. Also currently reading, and these two I don't have here with me because I'm reading them as ebooks, Thomas Hardy's The Return of the Native. This is going a little slowly for me so far, although where I stopped reading, some interesting things had just come to light, including Eustacia Vi, who's one of the main characters, and apparently she was involved in this love affair with this guy who, you know, said he was going to marry this other woman, and he kind of also still said he was going to marry the other woman. At least he said that to the other woman, but then he's talking to Eustacia and he's like, no, I'm not going to marry her, and you're like, what is happening? So I am interested to see where that is going to go, but it's been a little bit slow to start for me. I'm also doing a buddy read of Herman Melville's Moby-Dick with Melissa of Fully Booked. So we're doing our first check-in about that tomorrow. I'm behind. I need to catch up. What else is new? But it has a great line in it where Ishmael literally says, "But no more of this blubbering now. It's time to go a-whaling." I was like, if that is the level of pun I can expect from this book, I'm in. I'm totally in. So that's everything I'm currently reading. In terms of what I am going to be reading here shortly, I got yesterday from the library Amy Bloom's collection of short stories, Come to Me. This is the January pick for Robert at Barter Horde's Backlist Book Club. I will link that channel down below. And this is, like I said, is a collection of short stories. So I need to start it sometime in the next few days. I've never read Amy Bloom before, so I'm curious to see how this will go. Also, Kelly from Books I'm Not Reading and I just sort of impromptu decided to do a buddy read of Boris Pasternak's Dr. Zhivago. So I recently obtained this from my school library, so I think we're going to start this next week, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm excited for my first buddy read with Kelly, and I'm excited to actually start this book because this is one of those, this is not like a classic of Russian literature, it's sort of more like a modern classic because it was published in the 50s, I believe, but yeah, I am excited to read it because I've never read anything by Pasternak. I did see the movie version of Dr. Zhivago one time, but it was a long time ago now. So I'm excited to see what I think. And then, what else is on my list? Oh, White Ivy. So This recently came available as an ebook from my library, and I need to go ahead and borrow it and start that, because that is the January pick for Lindsay of Lindsay's Book Life, the virtual book club that she runs. So I need to go ahead and start that soon too. So yeah, lots of things happening. All kinds of projects are in the air. Oh, and also on that note, I should say that I'm going to be scaling back a little bit on BookTube, at least for the next few weeks, because I've got a lot of serious work commitments that I have to dig into for the month of January. I also have my pre-tenure review coming up on February 1st, so I have to get everything together for that. So I am going to film a tag video over the weekend that I will post on Tuesday, but after that, just expect me to do one weekly Friday Reads video at least through the end of January. Because again, I have work commitments, so I have to scale back on BookTube a little bit so that I can take care of those things. But anyway, that's it. If you have thoughts about any of these books, or, you know, anything that's going on in the world / United States, please feel free to leave me a comment down below. I hope everyone is doing all right and hanging in there. I hope you're all staying healthy and well. Hope you're doing good reading whatever you're reading, and until next time, would it kill you to call your mother?